Hello, and welcome to I'm Too Busy. I'm Christina Flack, your host. I'm a celebrity makeup artist and CEO with a passion for all things beauty, wellness, and success. On this show, I'll take you on exciting journeys, sharing personal stories and insights from inspiring entrepreneurs. Together, we will explore manifestation, health, wellness, and the secrets to thriving in life and business. Let's jump in and get inspired. Hello, I'm Christina Flack, and welcome to I'm Too Busy. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to someone who is doing extraordinary work for high-performing women and overwhelmed moms everywhere. Courtney Osselaer is a holistic wellness and life coach. She is a former pediatric nurse and the creator of Root Method, her nervous system-based framework that helps women regulate, reset, and reconnect with what they really are beneath all the noise and the rules. Her message is simple and so important, and you're not going to believe what she has to say, how overloaded we are. Courtney, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Christina. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this conversation because this stuff just lights my heart on fire, and I love that you're
love it.
interested in it.
I love that. Let's just start with how much I love your story. You went from a pediatric nurse in a trauma unit to an informed holistic coach. What shifted in your life that made you step into that world?
To step into the coaching world. So I was going through my own physical health healing journey and finding that Western medicine just wasn't doing it for me anymore, finding natural health remedies, and then started helping women and moms on that journey. And then in the midst of that, finding my emotional healing journey and how connected that is to my physical well-being, right? So then finding body spirit connection and just I could tell you like detailed stories if you really want to know, but like I was going through a lot. I had a lot of physical stuff. I was in and out of the hospital, in and out of the emergency room, in and out of the operating room, had my last surgery and woke up just feeling like my life was meant for so much more than being in the hospital and taking care of children every day, which I loved with my entire heart and soul. Like people
Right.
was crazy when they're like, "Do you like your job?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the best job on the planet." And then it just slowly started unraveling, right? And I was learning that I was meant for more than that. And that's what led me into the coaching world and really helping women on their emotional healing journey, because the other side of the shitstorm of emotional healing is indescribable. And when people experience it, it lights you up from the inside out, right?
I love that. You say that moms aren't broken. They're overloaded. And what does that overload look like in everyday life?
That looks like being super irritable because you're trying to get out the door and shit's hitting the fan on the way out, right? And
Right.
you're getting mad and then you feel guilty on the other
That
side.
you're mad. It's just this
Yes,
vicious cycle.
well, exactly. That's how it shows up. I mean, every single day.
Why do you think so many high achieving moms are overwhelmed and don't recognize it until they've hit the wall? Just because of how we've been raised to like, you're fine, keep going, keep going. You're tired. That's just part of the deal of being a mother that works.
Exactly. And that's what society tells us, right? We've been trained to take care of everybody else at all hours of the day, all the time. We have
Hmm.
ever growing to-do list, and we haven't learned how to pay attention to what's going on in and on our bodies and in our emotions, right? We're taught to shove it away. And I love this idea of we do a lot of parts work in the work that I do with women, right? So really sitting with these different parts of us. And I describe these parts as tantruming toddlers. And it's a great analogy because people really understand this, that if you have a toddler in your home, your child is throwing a tantrum, the last thing you're going to do is shove them in a room somewhere and say, figure it out, like you're on your own, right?
Right.
Instead, we like get down on their level. We find out, do they need a snack? Do they need a nap? Are they thirsty? What is this need that is causing this tantrum? It's the same thing with our inner parts. But instead, we are actually shoving them away and shoving them in a room and saying, sorry, I can't deal with you right now. When in reality, we need to be getting on their level and spending time with them and getting to know them, figuring out what the need is underneath the surface so that they can calm down.
Right.
they don't get as loud anymore because they know you're there to take care of them.
I've always said that self-care is not selfish. It's actually the greatest gift that you can give to everyone in your life because if you're fed and you've exercised and you've slept, which most mothers are needing sleep, and people don't even realize how important the sleep aspect is. Um, I think that if people would not feel so take this guilt thing off of, oh gosh, I shouldn't be able to go to the gym, or I shouldn't be able to go read a book for half an hour or take a bath. And I think if we could re-educate ourselves and accept that we do, all of us need a little bit of joy and time in our life, we're going to be so much better version of ourselves. Do you agree with that?
My gosh, this is like the heart of what I do. I agree with that so much. Self-care is not selfish. And I think often people think of self-care as these grandiose things, right? Like I got to go get a
Right,
massage, I got to go get a manicure, I
right,
spend money on myself. And it
right,
doesn't need to be that way. Like you said, it can be taking a nap. It can be whatever it is your body is telling you that you need in the moment. And what I see when we aren't taking care of ourselves as moms, what's really happening is our energy is leaking into all these different areas of our life, and it's not being contained in a way that allows us to pour from this overfull cup, right? It's like being seeped into all these different things, and then we're feeling drained because we're pouring into everybody all the time. We're not pouring into ourselves. So when it comes to the energy aspect of the work I do, it's coming from this self-abandoning, right? This
hmm,
yes, when we really mean no, that can be a form of self-care in itself. You don't have to do anything different or anything extra.
right,
It's literally about owning the boundary, right? Or when we're just ignoring our own needs, like say you're thirsty and you're just pushing that down. I do this. I mean, I've found myself doing this in the past a lot of just like push through, push through, push through. As a nurse, especially too, right? Not peeing, not taking a drink, not eating a meal for like 12 hours. And we are taught how to self-abandon as women so that we can take care of everybody else. And when we start tending to our inner world, especially through the lens of nervous system work and boundaries, women tend to start feeling like themselves again. And the energy piece just comes along with that. You find this newfound energy and feel like your old self again.
right.
Yeah.
I think you made a good point to go back to what you just said about self-abandonment. I think that needs to shift to self-soothing, to learn to self-soothe oneself, that it doesn't get to the point where you haven't peed or in 12 hours and haven't had any water or haven't rested. I mean, we really have to incorporate the self-soothing slash self-care into our everyday life. Let's talk a little bit about root. What does it stand for and where did the framework come from?
Mm. So, root stands for regulating your nervous system, owning your emotions, operating
Hmm.
self trust, and transforming your boundaries. And it's really just evolved and come from my practice as a coach and seeing what are the ways that these women I work with, how we can navigate through and get them to this place of increased energy and deeper connections, not only with themselves and those around them. Um, I forgot the second part of your question.
Um, what does it stand for and what did this framework come from?
Oh yeah, I guess I answered that already. It just came
Yeah,
from
you did.
moms.
Yeah, yeah,
It came
yeah.
from moms. Yeah.
You describe root as a nature inspired way to regulate the nervous system. How does someone know they're dysregulated?
I think that's an amazing question because I think most of us have no idea that we are dysregulated, right? And sometimes it takes the experience of feeling calm and centered and grounded to recognize, oh crap, I don't even know what that's like. And now that I felt it, I can see where I've been dysregulated in the past. Does that make sense? So for me, my
Right.
personal story here, and this is so common, is I've been dysregulated my entire life until I found out that I had some childhood trauma that my brain protected me from and kept silent for almost 40 years. And recognizing, so when you see yourself being more reactive than you want to be, right? Having
Hmm.
that guilt after reactivity,
Right.
or just this feeling of why am I doing this? When you're asking yourself that question of why did I react that way, that's a sign of being dysregulated. when you are go, go, go to the point where you're uncomfortable to sit still, that's another sign of being dysregulated, right? I think so many moms can relate to this of like, it is wildly uncomfortable, like actually painful for some to sit and do nothing.
Yeah,
And when,
it's like we're incapable of it. It's like, no, we should be cleaning out a drawer, organizing something, or folding laundry.
yeah,
Like,
something needs to be tended to, right?
right.
Sitting, not only just sitting and doing nothing, but even paying attention to what's going on internally is like a big step in a big step. There was something that came up earlier that you said, and now I'm losing it, and I really wanted to speak to that. It's gone. It's fine.
No,
I
no, we'll bring it back. It'll come back.
Yeah, I believe it'll come back if it's meant to be said, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, was it about what the root stands for, with the framework of it?
Hmm.
Let me ask you this. Do women, when you show them that they're dysregulated, how do they receive it? Like, what are the different things that you've experienced with women that are like, when you said, you're dysregulated, do they go, "Oh, that's amazing," or do they go, "No, no, I'm not,"
Well, I
and
don't make
are
it a
unwilling
habit.
to accept, right?
Yeah, I don't make it a habit of soliciting advice that's not asked for, right? And I, as a
True.
coach, give advice, and I'm not here to fix you. You're not broken, like I said. You are just overwhelmed, and you need some tools. And so I don't make a habit of coming out and saying, "Oh, that's you're dysregulated in that girl." Like most,
No, I'm sure you say it in a very different way, but I'm just always curious, what kind of reactions have you seen from people? Do they go, "Oh, thank God, now I know," or do they have a hard time accepting that? Like, no, this is culturally the way I was raised, and I should be productive every second of the day.
yeah, there's both. There's both. And it depends on where they're at in their journey. And part of what I do is meeting people exactly where they are. So those people who are like, meh, I'm not dysregulated. This is me. I'm cool, da 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 da. Those people aren't ready yet. Those people aren't ready for the depth of the conversation and the coaching that we go to. So I don't see that as often as I see the women
Hmm.
who are like, that makes total sense, right? They just have
Right,
like
right.
breath of fresh air of like, oh my God, like, yeah, yeah.
What changes in a woman's life when her nervous system becomes, more regulated?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we could talk about this for literal hours, Christina, because it changes literally everything. It changes how you show up in your relationships. So think about your primary relationships, your kids, your spouse. Like,
Hmm.
you show up in a way that is more grounded and deeply connected. So you're more present. You're able to find the joy in these slow moments rather than feeling
Right,
heightened and, oh my God, I got to do something, right? Your kids
right.
and your spouse start to recognize that, and they start to speak to it of like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun with you, mommy. Like, because they sense you actually being there, right? Or your spouse is like, oh my God, you actually heard what I was saying in this conversation because you're actually present. Um, it shows up in your job, your career in ways, if you're a leader in some way, shape, or form, or just performance wise, like you're in that space of it feels, as I'm talking this out loud, it feels like this untangible thing, but how it shows up in our tangible life is like real stuff. You are feeling more confident in your decisions. So that imagine that for a minute. Imagine how that shows up in your life, being more confident with your decisions and not second guessing yourself. How does that show up with your kids, your spouse, in your work role? Game changer, right? Um, all the other things are just like aloof right now for me. They're not coming up, but I mean, it's huge. It plays out into every single area of your life. That's not an exaggeration.
I think one of the benefits of being able to, with this self-soothing and doing this root work, is the example that you're setting for your children. We don't want our kids to be living dysregulated, and so it is important for us to set the example of taking good care of ourselves from an emotional and a physical perspective. And because that, we don't want them to get into the same routine that we have when they're older. So I do find it really important to set this example with what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Your work deeply with with patterns. How do these old emotional patterns show up in modern mothers who think they're fine? which we all
Yeah.
know fine isn't fine.
Yeah.
That is like the best word to me. Anytime I say fine, it's like
Something's
it's
wrong.
so something's so not fine.
First, I want to go back to what you said about the being regulated ourselves and being
Yes.
pass that experience and that knowledge down to our children. That is the core of the work that I do and why I do it. Um,
Hmm.
because when they can see us being regulated and they learn those skills, it is changing the vibration of our planet one generation at a time. And when I
Absolutely.
think about the way the world is today with self-harm, violence, all of these things that are showing up in our world, it the conversation that people aren't having is what is this person not getting? What is a need
Hmm.
that has been ignored for far too long that is causing them to be this way, causing them to have
Hmm.
actions and make these choices, right? I don't hear people talk about that. It's all about like, well, what are the gun laws and what are this and what are that? And I'm not going to get political here, but like it's real. If you've heard of the book, What Happened to You, have you heard of that book?
I haven't.
This is a book I think everybody on the planet should read. It is written by Oprah Winfrey, and I can't remember the guy's name. He's a child psychologist. And they have a conversation around this concept that instead of asking if somebody cuts you off in traffic or somebody does something wrong, instead of asking what is wrong with you, you ask what happened to you. Like, what?
Oh, that's such a different way to ask the question.
Yes. And this actually speaks to your question of how is it showing up in our everyday lives when we think we're fine, right? I mean, I lived 40 years thinking I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then I
Right.
realize I have all this stuff that's underneath the surface. And honestly, it is a process of each woman coming to this awareness of themselves on their own time in their own journey, because there's nobody that can point to it and say, you're acting this way because of that until you're ready for it. You're not even going to see it. You're not going to see
Hmm.
it. And your nervous system is doing an amazing job at protecting you and allowing things that are meant to come up when they're supposed to come up, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what does breaking generational cycles actually look like in real time?
Yeah, first I want to add that this generational cycles concept, I think that my generation, I see it as a collective that we are being awakened and called into this work. It is happening all around the world in we have this desire, and I think that other generations before us had this desire too, but they didn't have the tools and they didn't have the know-how to how to
Hmm.
about doing it. But now we have the tools and all the things that we need to be able to actually do this. So how does this look like in real life? So I often, as we're parenting our kids, we're also reparenting ourselves, right? So we're
That's such a
reparenting
good point.
these inner children that we have
Hmm.
within ourselves. And it's this beautiful, I just get so lit up every time I have this conversation with any one of my clients because they start to see it and they're like, oh my God, like they start to get excited too. So let me think of an example of like how it shows up in real life every single day. So, and it is like literally every single day. And then of course, when I'm put on the spot to like grab a specific example,
Specific.
doesn't
Yeah.
come to me. Okay, for instance, I grew up in a house where body image was very important, right? If you
Hmm.
are feeling uncomfortable with yourself and you feel like you're overweight and you don't like yourself and blah, 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 I was taught to not love my body because my mom didn't love her body, just like her mom didn't love her body, right? So when it comes to me and I have this I don't want to say overwhelming, but this strong calling to make sure my daughter understands that she can love herself no matter what she looks like, no matter what she sees in the mirror. So being able to look at myself in the mirror and have that inner dialogue and that talk and surround myself with content, media, whatever that aligns with this belief that I can love myself no matter what, and then teach her how to do the same thing. Like that's what that looks like. And that goes with everything, emotions with my son. And I'm thinking of my example specifically because they're coming top to mind, but this is the same thing with the clients I work with too, right?
Right.
So I have a son. I think a lot of moms of sons can relate to this, that they tend to, this is a just generalization, but they aren't as open, as expressive with their emotions. They tend to shut down a little bit more because that's just what men
Hmm.
and boys are taught. And with
Hmm.
my son, being able to sit with him and tell him it is okay that you are feeling sad. It is okay that you're feeling angry. It's not okay to like go hit your sister. It's not okay to do that when you're feeling angry, but here's what you can do. Those weren't conversations that we had in my house. It was just a like, stop it. What are you doing? Like, because
Right, 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 right.
they had. So it literally shows up in everyday conversations with our kids and how that happens. And this is one of the big reasons I love what I do, to be able to help moms navigate those situations with their kids. I have a client whose daughter is just like her, kind of anxious, a little bit when it comes to leaving her mom. She's school age, but she still gets anxious when going to school. On the first day of school, she's a hot mess, right? And being able to help my client navigate through that from the perspective of it's okay. Like, of course, she feels anxious. Here are the reasons why, and here's what you can do to help her feel safe so that she can go to school without feeling this way. And it goes back to the parts work that I mentioned earlier of sitting with that, allowing her daughter to actually feel that without shoving those away and being like, oh, you're not anxious. Oh, it's okay. You're fine. Right. Like, that's what we were taught. You're fine. You're not sad. Like, just get over it.
But that goes back to my point of the example that we're setting, because it I don't know, I'm not there, but it would seem to me that that mom is saying when she's anxious, oh my God, I'm so stressed, so it's learned behavior. But I also feel, instead of wording it, are you anxious? I'm anxious. How about wording it, I'm so excited it's the first day of school, and turning it into a positive instead of this negative. And also back to your point of, how you grew up with your mom, about her weight, your weight. That's why for me, I've always been with my daughters. I have two daughters and three sons. With my daughter, well, with all my kids, I've always said, I don't focus, like, I'm not on a diet. I don't ever say that. It's always about, I'm having the green juice and I'm eating healthy and balanced. So I just feel like, and my kids have a totally healthy relationship, I think, with food. And because I've never been like, oh my God, I'm so fat, or
Right.
I'm just like, food to me, it's an energy, it's a
Fuel.
positive, it's
Yeah.
it's fuel. And so I think we do have to be incredibly mindful with our kids, because that's how these eating disorders start, when they see our weird behavior and our weird relationship with food or people. It's going to come back up. So that's how this generational, thing happens.
Absolutely.
What Many women feel they've lost themselves. How do you guide someone back to their true identity and self trust?
The very first thing that we do is slowing down. And
Mm,
so uncomfortable for moms, and it's uncomfortable because it's what's needed most. So if we are crazy busy and unwilling to do that, we're never going to come back to this place of ourselves and be in tune to our innate intuition and our inner knowing, right? We have to be able to listen and hear that. And we can't do that when there's chaos going around externally and internally. So the first step is pause and slow down.
that's really hard. I've learned this so long ago, not that long ago, but it was getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And that certainly is, when you're a mom and your kids are little and you're stressed, it's like if someone says, oh, slow down and breathe, it's like, go to hell. Like, I don't have time for that. But you actually have to make time for that.
Yeah. And
How do
every
you do that without, I guess you give someone that grace, that permission to, no, you can calm down, take a breath, just take 3 breaths. Everything will be better.
And when it's in session, they've already set aside time for themselves, right? So it makes
Mm,
you're in session, but the real work comes out of session, right? They might have some big aha moments, but it's the work outside of that that's really transformational. And so it's really about titration. So I have a client right now who sitting for 5 minutes is unbearable. Like, it is not possible. And so we talk about doing it for 20 seconds at a time and recognizing that
right.
you are safe in that. You can do that, and building that positive reinforcement loop in your brain so that it can create these memories and this habit of it is okay to slow down. It's okay to pause and look internally, right? Yeah.
You have been incredibly generous offering a complimentary emotional reset session for my listeners. Thank you. That's just so kind. What happens during that session?
Yeah, so that session is really about finding out where you are. Like I said, everybody is on their own point in their journey, and it's incredibly important for me to see you exactly where you are, what's coming up in your everyday life. So we explore how things are showing up for you, maybe how you're being triggered, and then we do incorporate, depending on where you're at, maybe a little meditation or a little mindfulness, and we talk about what you need to be able to keep moving forward in your healing journey and what that looks like for you, whether that's continuing with me or doing some of your own work on your own.
Who is this session perfect for? Moms, entrepreneurs, anyone navigating emotional overload? You probably
This
see
is
all the above, right?
all of the above. But these sessions are specifically designed for the professional spiritual mom who is
Yes.
seeing these patterns in themselves and has maybe done some of your own work. You've read the books, you've done the meditations, maybe you've even gone to therapy, and you're still feeling like there's something there that you just can't break through. That's who this is specifically designed for.
If someone feels scared to go inward, what reassurance would you offer?
Mm. Ooh, that's a really good question. So there's always a storm before the rainbow comes and before the light
Mm,
comes. And the way I just,
very true.
yeah, the way I describe my work is like finding more energy and deeper connections by going through the shitstorm of emotional healing, because that's what
Right.
we have to go through the storm in order to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And another level of reassurance for that with the people I work with is I've been through many of those storms. I am able to
Right. You
hold
can
that
relate.
space for you, not only relate, but actually like be there with you and feel with you. I'm incredibly empathic and incredibly intuitive. And to be able to help you in that, navigate through it, help you feel through it, you don't feel alone. I'm right there with you. And there's pretty much nothing that I haven't seen as far as an emotional thing, right? Like I've been to the deepest depths of those things, so I can hold you in that.
I think all those qualities that you have made you an amazing nurse, but it's made you an amazing coach because it's really combining those two aspects of your life and experiences of your life. What is a sign a woman is emotionally overloaded?
Ooh, this can look like a lot of different things because every woman is so different. So for some people, it shows up as no emotion, right? You're totally,
Mm,
you're not expressing any emotion. I was actually just talking with a woman today who experiences that, and she just had like a release a couple of days ago of just this flood of tears. She hasn't cried in 7 years. So
wow.
that's one way. Another way is being emotional with everything, right? This used to
Right.
be me.
Over.
Yes.
Right.
Of like you're crying at the commercial, like just sobbing hysterically and you can't control it kind of situation. That's another sign of being emotionally overloaded. Those are the two extremes, and it shows up in all sorts of different ways in the middle. But yeah,
Right.
kind of
Which is worse?
ooh.
The suppressing? I mean, they're both bad, but I mean, is there one that's worse than the other?
I don't think there's a good, better, best, worse. Like, I don't think there's any of that. I truly believe that everybody's on their own journey and everybody's right where they're meant to be. And it's just about being present with that.
Right. What's one generational pattern we all need to release?
Mm. Ooh, what's showing up for me right now? I've never thought about this question. I love that. What's coming up for me is the pattern of almost living vicariously through our children. Like maybe we didn't get to do something,
Mm,
and so we try to push them into something. It's really allowing them to be passionate about what they're passionate for and foster as much as you can that passion, right? So instead of shutting it down, that's the big thing, is like shutting things down for them. We're not even aware of it a lot of the time, Christina. So it's like hard to even say that because a lot of people aren't even aware that
right.
we're actively shutting down their kids' dreams. But yeah, that's what it is. That's what's coming up, is let's break the cycle of shutting down our children and their dreams.
What's a nervous system green flag for you?
When you say green flag, you mean like that your nervous system is regulated and going well. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's feeling that you are coming from this grounded place. You're not in your head overthinking. You're not feeling anxious when you're doing things. It's this like peace and ease that you're able to move through day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute.
A quick reset tool anyone can do in 30 seconds.
Ooh, breathe, breathe.
Yeah. Three deep breaths, right? Go outside, get some fresh air.
Exactly. And, I want to add to that because I think that because there's so much talk about nervous system regulation that people forget that our nervous system is there for a reason. It is actually, we are meant to go in and out of regulation. That is normal. That is what human
Mm-hmm.
bodies are meant for. That's what keeps us safe and alive and thriving. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a bad thing to be dysregulated. It's about finding that window of tolerance and recognizing it faster so that you can then come back to the regulated state when there is no real threats, right? Because most of the dysregulation that we experience now, they're not real threats. They're what our brain and our nervous system think are threats based on our past. So it's like recognizing, okay, I am actually safe now. Now I can like regulate this. But our
Mm-hmm.
nervous system gets dysregulated for a reason. There's a purpose to it.
Right. What's an affirmation that you wish every mom said daily?
Mm, I am enough.
Yes, that's a good one. One word that describes peace to you.
Mm, ease.
Oh, that's a good one. That's really good. One word that describes presence.
Ooh, peace.
Ah,
Peace is
okay. Okay. And one word that describes possibility.
Unlimited.
Unlimited. That's good. Where's your happy place?
My personal happy place is in nature by like in the woods, pine trees. Imagine being in
Mm,
a stream of water, like a little stream
beautiful.
that's my happy place.
Yes. Warm or cold?
Just right. Like not warm, not cold, but like just perfect.
Okay. What do you do when your day isn't flowing?
Ooh, when I recognize that my day is not flowing the way that feels like peace and ease to me is I take a moment. As hard as it can be sometimes, you have all the things that you're doing, you're going through your day, and it's that slowing down, recognizing I'm feeling this way because I need a minute. Go outside, hug a tree, walk in grass, take a deep breath.
Right.
Yeah.
What does self-care look like for you? Like, what did you have a certain diet or exercise that you do? Like, what do you do every day in your schedule that you can keep balance? So therefore you can be a good example to your
Yeah.
clients and your family. Like,
This
what
is
do you
kind
do?
of a
I'd
loaded
love to know
question.
your stuff.
Yeah, this is kind of a loaded question because I had to relearn what self-care meant when I had my stomach removed several years ago. I had to get back to the basics of
Hmm.
diet and hydration and all those things, right? So for me on a daily basis, it is absolutely about diet. It's about fueling my body with good food. It's about hydration. I always have at least two drinks with me at all times to stay hydrated. Yes. um movement is huge and that's something that I have been horrible about in my past, right? And there's
Oh,
reasons.
really?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like I would repel it like the plague, like, meh, I don't want to do that. It made me wildly uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But now it's every single day I'm moving my body in some way, shape, or form, whether that looks like a walk,
Hmm.
training, or whatever. And breathing, like taking time to actually listen to my intuitive knowing and breathing. And that can look like 2 minutes in a day. That can look like 30 minutes in a day. It just depends on what I'm feeling I need. Another big form of self care for me, this is a little tidbit because I think a lot of moms have pent up anger and resentment and having a punching bag. I don't do this every single
Oh,
at least once a week to get all that negative like anger energy out. Heck yeah.
right.
Yeah.
No, I also think just having an environment, I'm super visual and I can't be with an unmade bed or dishes in the sink. I just can't. It like gives me hives. But I also love making sure that there's candles lit and that there's flowers. And, I just think creating beauty in our everyday life is super important. It's not just the china for Christmas. It's every day
Love
having
that.
all those beautiful things. I think,
I love that because then it gets your mind on this, focusing on the beauty in the world
yes,
rather than
yes,
the
creating beauty
yeah.
and setting that example. What is your favorite diet, self-care, and exercise tips that you have?
Everything in moderation and find what works for you. Not everybody's the same, right? So some people
Hmm.
need to be gluten and dairy free. Some people don't. Some people need to eat meat. Some people don't. I think it's finding really what works for you. When it comes to movement and exercise, do something you enjoy. Don't do something just because somebody tells you to do it. Find what
Right.
really actually fuels you. Years ago, if my husband, he's been trying to get me to weight train for decades. And I'm like, no, it's not what I need. It's not what I want. And for me, dancing was a big thing. That was a big bridge from not being physically active to actually enjoying physical activity to now I weight train 4 days a week, right? Like heavy weights. So find what works for you. Find what brings joy to you. If you don't want to eat the broccoli because you don't like broccoli, don't eat broccoli. Like find a
Right.
vegetable
Go
that
eat
you
spinach.
enjoy. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be a big thing. And I do think it's important, from with exercise to change it up all the time. Our bodies get so accustomed to if we do the same routine every day or eat the same food, you're going to get a better result doing something different. And I think it's great, even just going out walking. You can use hand weights, put on a podcast, put on some music, and just get outside sometimes and giving yourself the grace to just say, I'm going for 10 minutes or
exactly.
maybe 30 minutes, but just getting out there, consistency, I think, is a big thing. Do you
And
agree?
with consistency, yes, the big thing with consistency that I've seen is just start. Like you said, give yourself 10 minutes. Most of the time, if you're doing something for 10 minutes, you're going to want to do it more because you're feeling so
That's
good about
true. But it's nice to just tell yourself, I only have to do 10. Whatever else I do is ice cream. It's like frosting with a cherry on
it.
top,
Exactly. Yep.
right?
Yeah. I love that.
What have I not asked you today that you'd like to share?
Ooh, that's a good question. What have you not asked me today that I would like to share? Hmm. I don't think there is anything. No, I think you've asked a lot of really
Really?
questions.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well,
This has been
Courtney, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing such grounding and compassionate wisdom. And thank you for offering to my viewers a complimentary emotional reset session that it's going to be in the show notes. That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Christina Flack, and I'm too busy. I'll see you next week.